consistent with His holiness to say, I love this person who I have made in my image who is struggling, and my love for them wants to bring them to salvation, but I have to deal with their sin. The punishment for their sin must go somewhere. And so Jesus said, I'll take it. Pour out their punishment. Pour out your wrath upon me. You have given me a body, Hebrews says, that I might be this sacrifice. And so Jesus went to the cross so that the wrath of God for sin might be poured out. But the only way for you or for me to benefit from what Jesus has done in His gracious service on our behalf is to put our faith and trust in His completed work for our salvation. I'm not going to try to be good enough. I'm not going to do enough good deeds. I'm not going to ever do anything to pay off the sin debt that I have. It's not possible. Not possible. But Jesus has done that. And so if I put my faith and my trust in Him, if I turn away from my sin and ask Him to save me, make me a child of God. What did y'all tell me a little while ago? For God so loved the world. He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever would do good works. No, believe. To believe, to put our faith and trust in Him and Him alone for our salvation. God's love changes everything. As you see it has to change our definition or concept of love. Because our concept is, what have you done for me lately, God? It is an idolatry that rejects discipline. I don't want God to discipline me. I don't want God straightening me out to make me like Jesus. I want to live my life and do my thing. I want to do not go to hell pass. But I don't want anybody interfering in my life. You can't have God on your terms. His love for you is going to be consistent with who He is. Holy, just, loving, all of those things. God's love changes everything. It has to change our perception of what is loving. Oh, but don't you know, God wants me to be happy. Well, there are other people that want you to, be happy. They're going to sell you drugs. They're going to sell you sex robots. I don't know if you saw that this week, coming to Houston from Toronto. Great stuff. They're going to sell you whatever it is that you think you need to have. They're going to put up a casino and tell you, come party. They're going to do whatever. The problem is that God is not that He rejects the idea of happiness, but His desire for you is to be holy, set apart from the world to Him, to be different, to be changed. You say, I'm not going to do that. Christians don't have any fun. Well, obviously, you don't hang around with the people I hang around with. There's no drinking, there's no partying. We're so messed up, we don't need it. We just have fun no matter what, just being around each other. And so God's holiness is more crucial to what He is doing than whether or not your life is an extended part of it. God's love changes everything. It results in being made like Jesus. So what is God wanting to see? Well, He wants to see all of us born again, children of God. And He wants to know, and He will, and He does everything about us. Every hair on our head, everything. He knows everything about us. He wants to see us in heaven. In fact, He already can. In foreknowledge, He can see us there. He wants to see us in all of our differences and all of our personality things that He made within us. He wants to see it all. But He wants to see Jesus. He wants to see that nature, that character. He wants to see that kind of holiness. He wants to see who Jesus is. Why? Because remember, what image did He make us in? The image of God. And Jesus is the very image of what? Who? Excuse me. He's the very image of God. Colossians tells us that He is the likeness, He is the image of God. And so when we get to heaven and we're in glory and we are sinless in resurrection bodies, everybody's still going to be who they are. Kelly's going to be Kelly, and Liz is going to be Liz, and Betty's going to be Betty, but we're all going to look like, in a spiritual sense, Jesus. And so that character, that new nature, Hebrews 12, verse 6 says, then for what? For the Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastises every son whom he receives. It is for discipline that you have to endure. God is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? God's love changes everything. He sometimes has to get our attention, even though we're saved people, because we present ourselves to the devil for things that are ungodly purposes. And he loves us too much to leave us there. It is his love, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves. Notice the passage goes on in verse 8. That if you're without discipline, of which all have become partakers, referring to the church, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. In other words, you may think you're a Christian, but you're not. If you're living in sin, if you're living your life your own way, but because you went through a baptistry, because you walked the aisle during Bible school or whatever, but you have no thought of living your life for God, and you're living in sin and there don't seem to be any consequences for your actions, you're not his. Furthermore, see, I didn't say that. That screen says it. Furthermore, we had earthly fathers to discipline us, and we respected them. Shall we not much rather be subject to the Father of spirits and live? Subject to, the idea of submission to someone who loves us in covenant beyond our ability to respond to the covenant. So the covenant's power comes from God's side of it, and we respond to that power that has shown such great love toward us. And it brings us life. Notice in verse 10, these fathers, they disciplined us for a short time as seemed best to them. But he, God, disciplines us for our good, so that we may share his happiness. No! So that we may share his holiness, being set apart from the sinful and godless things of the world, set apart to him. So here's the truth about discipline. Verse 11. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful. Amen? All right, but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained by it, afterward it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. God is training us. Now, it's been a while since I've been in training pants, right? And yet, in that time, from the very time we come into this world, our parents began to train us. And if we didn't train our children, what would people think? They would think, what kind of parents are you guys? You're not doing anything to train your children, to show them how to live a productive life, to know how to present themselves. And yet somehow or another we want God to stay out of the business of training. But we are spiritual beings that are, for the most part, blind to the spiritual realm. And if he doesn't train us, we're going to be taken advantage of at every turn. But because of his great love for us, love that he proved in such a significant way, he's going to take our hand and lead us through this life and train us for the purpose of having the peaceful fruit of righteousness as the outcome. In covenant, says Jonathan Lehman, Christ takes our guilt while we acquire his righteousness. And all of the blessing that comes with that. He takes our burdens and sorrows while we acquire his glory and comfort. He receives our diligent labor, well, hopefully, while we receive his commission and charge. He takes our weakness while we acquire his strength. Thus we share in his life, death, burial, resurrection, ascension, rule, and reign. Does that sound like a square deal for God? No. No. What service that he gets from us? Nothing in comparison for how he has served us and is serving us today. And yet in his covenant relationship with us, he has taken the major role. Notice that he says, second, this covenant unites us to Christ spiritually because we've been given his Spirit. The Spirit, you ready? Regenerates, seals, deposits, gifts, perseveres, and glorifies those who belong to Christ. Hence, Christ's covenant is effective. It affects what it promises. It gives what it asks for. I'm not going to leave you with that last sentence without... It took me a while to wrap my head even a little bit around that last sentence. What does covenant do? Covenant says, these are my expectations to be in the covenant with you, and here's what your part of it is. And so, if I'm not able to do what I'm called in covenant to do, the other one could turn and walk away. But God has established a covenant so that what the covenant demands, it actually produces for me. What it promises, the effect, is something that's going to come as a result of it. So I have got a situation where I cannot lose if in fact I put my life in his hands. He's going to build a relationship with me that provides within the relationship all the power, all of the ability, and all of the things that I need to be able to live and to walk and to know him. And yet the world is so full of distraction. There are so many things that call out for our love. So many things that want our attention. So many things that promise that we're going to have a future, that we're going to be happier if we can just buy this, go there, have this procedure, do this thing, whatever it is, then we're going to be happy. Then everything's going to be fine. Some religious belief, some philosophy, something that's going to guarantee me eternity. And so I search for those things because the kind of love that's in me is a love that says, what have you done for me lately? It's a consumerism love. And there's a problem with that love. You see, the fact of the matter is, there are too many windows for me to look through and find truth. If someone doesn't help me find God and find truth, I'm going to be so confused by all of the windows and all of the possibilities. But in John 14:6, Jesus closed all of those windows for me. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. No money, no gain, no philosophy, no way of perceiving things, not yoga, not meditation, no crystals, nothing. None of those things are going to bring me to God. Jesus and Jesus alone is the way, the truth, and the life. And so the church is being inundated by the love of God and the work of God. And yet because of our culture and because of our beliefs in these times, notice what Jonathan Lehman says. So Americans tend to describe churches as loving when those churches make us feel relaxed and comfortable, not judged. We can be ourselves there. Non-judgmentalism is important. In our friendships too. Oh, I know she's my friend because she doesn't judge me. I can be real with her. But is this really love? If that's all love consists of, I myself have become the true object of my affection. Everything has to make me comfortable, relaxed, feel good about myself. Then I am worshiping at the altar of me, is what Mr. Leanan is saying. I might claim to love you, but it's really the way that you make me feel that I love. That's most relationships when you're, first starting to date. You want to be with a particular person, not because you have a sense that you want to pour your life and the goodness of God into this other special person. No. Have you seen him? Have you seen her? Woo! And so all the fireworks are going off and everything, and what they have, I want it for who? I want it for me. And this is how we relate to God. We look at God and say, God, what have you got for me lately? What have you done for me lately? What do you have for me? God, it's not going real good. I'm having a problem here. You need to fix it. You're slipping. And God says, this week we're going to work on using suffering to make you whole. No, wait a second. I didn't sign up for any of that. You say, well, you remember when my son did that? When he lived a sinless life in this hard world, and he took all the beatings and he took all the shame, and he went to the cross, and he drank the cup of the sin of the world, so that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. You remember when he suffered and he did that? So that you might be saved. And so now you're going to be able to join, because of his great love for you, you're going to be included in a very special group of people. Those who are honored to join him in suffering, to demonstrate the love of God. That's a struggle. It's a struggle for us. And yet,